with the mission to keep as many men on as many guns for as long as possible. We called him Doc. Welcome to Combat Vet Vision. And now your host, Aaron Chief Seabird.
The only way, like the sun bidding goodbyes. Hey, that is my intro. That's me singing. I did a whole podcast on putting the song together and created one actually. But hey, this is Combat Vet Vision. This is a place where I get to talk about my experiences being a combat vet. 3 times to Iraq myself, blown up in 2006. Took over 100 pieces of shrapnel, had my last rites read to me. I'm on life number 2, lucky to be alive. I came back and went through a whole bunch of different phases to include transition out of the military in 2011. And now I'm heavily and still involved in so many combat veteran support elements that it becomes part of who I am. And if you've seen the emblem for today's show, it kind of highlights a lot of different organizations, people, businesses, nonprofit organizations that I'm heavily involved in. Mostly I talk about Warrior Built being vocational recreational support, and the PTSD Foundation of America, which is peer-to-peer support, and that is beyond peer-to-peer support. It's also it's also got a clinical side of things now, and putting a whole bunch of things together. It's headquartered in Houston, Texas, and has about a 120 bed facility. It's free to our veterans, our combat vets, to send them there to get help with PTSD. That facility is pretty much packed up right now. We're constantly sending a lot of guys that need that help and support more than ever. And it's amazing that it's full, and it's doing what it's doing. But I want to talk about, a lot of times I talk about a lot of things that are working for me, but it's not an end all. It's not a fix all. It's not, it's not a cure. It's not, whatever you want to look at it in your life and in what you're doing and what I'm doing, what I'm utilizing, the resources that I participate in or use or provide to other veterans that need them. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work. There's plenty of things out there that in your mind, what works for you. But I do want to talk a little bit about, are we bullshitting ourselves by saying, yeah, this works for me. It works for me to, try to lose weight by looking at food, which is probably a true statement. But if I eat that food, it may not be the same case. But I might be tricking myself into thinking that, hey, if I just eat a little bit of it, but a lot of this, I'm probably going to lose some weight. And that's not always the case, right? And it's the same with everything you do in your life, as far as like transitioning out, dealing with your PTSD, or dealing with physical injuries, or dealing with the VA. When you go to the VA, when you go to present yourself, how are you presenting yourself? Are you in the best version of yourself to do this? Are you getting the same feedback that you would want because of what you're saying and doing, and how you're approaching yourself in life? And are we being the best things that we can do for ourselves? There's a lot there's a lot of things that we could be doing better for each and every one of us. And only you really understand or know that the direction you're going or not going is helping you out, or not helping you out, or you're just talking yourself into thinking it's helping you out. And I will say that sometimes by doing some things that may not feel comfortable, or may not be good for you, or may not initially feel like they're going to work, may work after a while. If you fake it till it's real, and fake it till you make it, is something that you hear about in the military. And I really didn't fully understand that statement for quite a long time, until truly sitting down and dealing with PTSD and saying, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm not a guy that liked yoga. I'm not a guy that liked to do a lot of things, but I never knew how important yoga was until I got involved in it. And now it's like something that I think about doing and should do more of, and do it. But there's a lot of positions that don't work for me, but I'm trying to make it work for me, because it's more important for me to be in that position than for me to let my shrapnel injuries hurt or let my ankle cause me not to be able to work today or work tomorrow. I have to be careful with what I do. But at the same time, I need to do it. I still need to do it in some way. And that goes the same with PTSD. And a lot of people are using this, this whole word PTSD or the whole thought process of it as either it's the scariest monster in the world, because it is possibly, right, or it's something that you can grow from. It's something that exists only in the minds of those that have it, and everybody else has to think like, what is it and how does, but in all reality, are you managing yourself, whether you have PTSD or not? Are you managing yourself enough to understand when a real threat becomes a real threat versus creating an environment where you are the threat, where you are the problem, you are not handling situations at the best control mechanisms that you've been provided. The filters are gone. I understand. We get to a point where it's real easy not to care enough and be out of control, to where we need to find a way to work on those control mechanisms, to work on the ability to be a better outcome for yourself. And I say this because a lot of people don't fully understand. They may not understand, when you go to war, you have these feelings, you have to become, and this is from me. This is coming from me, not from a book, not from anything, but you have to become part of the enemy in order to fight the enemy. You have to become uh, angry, frustrated, careful, but at the same time, tactically careful, because there's rules of engagement. There's all these rules that we have to live by. But at the same time, you have to be ready to accept the fight that's about to fight and make peace out of that environment, because that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be a peacekeeping nation. We're supposed to be, somebody who has to go to war because we have to. We do not fire until fired upon. We have to be better, faster, ready to go, more so than anything that and we have to have everybody's back. We have to have each other's back. We have to have the back of the enemy. We have to treat the enemy as corpsmen. If we catch an enemy, we got to treat them, and we got to be respectful, and we got to help them. But at the same time, we also have to be ready to fight the fight if it comes to us. The best medicine on the battlefield is fire superiority. These are things that we never get to bring back to society, or we never get to talk about in society, because society is so upset or frustrated for whatever the moment is, that you're afraid to almost say anything. And if you handle something, you could be totally ridiculed or out of control because the way you handled it. And the way you handled it is the way that you learned how to handle it to begin with. But now that's not acceptable. And there's a lot of things that aren't acceptable. So what are we doing to take care of ourselves the best way we can? And there's just so many different avenues, and there's so many different nonprofits doing so many incredible things that you never know. Hey, maybe it's a fishing trip, maybe it's a hunting trip, maybe it's this really cool vehicle expedition, or a race trip down in Baja, or to uh, working on vehicles, to work equipment, to singing, to whatever it is, right? And does that mean that it's your hobby? And I want to get into hobbies a little bit, because I'm a thorough believer that you need at least 3 hobbies in order to stay in a positive mindset, positive direction. And those 3 hobbies need to be kind of something that you do every day, every other day, but don't let it go too far. And that's not just a hobby that counts in this category. The other thing that needs to count in there is something you do consistently in a positive direction, meaning the gym. It may or may not fall under the hobby. But at the same time, it's something that you're doing for yourself, your health. You're really kind of promoting that. You're doing some other things that might be in that direction. maybe you're involved in music, and maybe you want to just jam out, and those jam sessions are super important at Warrior Built on Wednesday nights. Or maybe it is that you want to go to Warrior Group, from the PTSD Foundation, whatever night that is, and they have them every single night. You can look that up at ptsdusa.org. And you can see what group might work for you across the country in all kinds of different categories. And yeah, because we got first responders dealing with that too, and now you have a lot of other organizations kicking in, and they're coming up with avenues of support for PTSD. Is it an end all? Is it working? Can it work for PTSD? Yeah, I think everything in life that you do in a positive direction will give you some kind of direction and a better ability to maybe cope or deal with a situation that might arise in a more appropriate manner. Um, and I keep seeing this. I see this time and time again from a lot of the guys and gals in my groups that talk about some crazy situation out of their control, that kind of ran into this whole different scenario where where it just got crazy, and they were able to handle it on a way different bandwidth, a way different manner. And that's because they're engaged in their life in some incredible ways that helps them deal with that. And I often talk about a lot of those ways. I talk about, but it's not me shoving that down your throat. I don't want to ever shove it down anybody's throat. And I think it's important as a leader, important as a person, to not like make someone feel guilty because they don't show up to group or that they don't participate in this action. But if they say that they're going to be there, if they say that they're going to be accountable for that, if they say that they're going to be that, we got to be somewhat accountable to holding them to that, and just kind of say, hey, I know, it was important for you to, try to come out for the Baja 1000, but you didn't show up and you're part of the team for so long, or you got involved in it, or hey, you said you were going to be there, but now you're not. I understand things come up, but we don't want to leave those seats empty at the last second because you may not show up for some event that's really spectacular, where we could have reached out to somebody a lot sooner. So at the last minute, to kind of bail out of that becomes a problem in some regards. But in some things, it's acceptable because we understand. Hey, you end up in a place, a bad place for the moment, and it doesn't happen. But try to avoid doing that too often. But I don't want to shove that down anybody's throat. I want to say, hey, what is working for you, and what are you doing to make your life a better place, and to help the other people around you, and to sit back and maybe take stock in your behaviors and um, your different things that you're dealing with in relationships, and really kind of figure out, hey, is this really the route I want to go? Is this really how I want to treat people, or treat my loved ones, or treat my enemies, or however it might be? But sometimes it's really important to be a little bit flexible, and it's hard to be flexible after coming back from war, and you're just like, hey, I can't talk. I just can't. I can't. I can't be who I was in combat. I can't be this simple guy that just ate, drank, and just tried to make things happen. Eat MREs, drink water, get a shower from time to time, but take the fight to the enemy all the time. Look for the enemy, just deal with the enemy all the time. That becomes pretty simple. Um, it also becomes kind of a weird, um, to say it, is like the greatest hunt of your life, and the greatest experience of your life, and the most, you know, life and death from your left to your right to your buddies. There's nothing more incredible than that. And I say that in both a negative and positive way, because the negative side of things, you really don't want to be in that. You really don't want to have to deal with that. You really don't want to. Um, but part of you does. There's part of every one of us that I think went over there, and we just, there was some part that just, it felt right, and it's hard to understand. As I talk to you, the listener, whoever that is. Those that are combat vets are probably understanding that, and feel that, understand it. Um, but those of you that are civilians that maybe aren't used to hearing that, it becomes kind of like, whoa, it's a step back, and it can be a little bit shocking or something. But maybe not. Maybe it's something that you're able to grasp a little bit better and easier, and be a little more accepting to the combat vets kind of mindset when they, do things. Because, each one of us is trying to navigate our way through life, either in a work way or a benefits way, or a combination of all these things. And what is the best combination? The best combination is the lock that you're trying to do, and you finally hear the click, and it's clicking while you're unsafe, and each little key is lining up to give you a chance to unlock. There's some potential in navigating it all, navigating the VA, navigating the family life, navigating your own life, navigating your thought processes, and aligning all these things up to be the best version of yourself. And it doesn't come from me, it doesn't come from this, it doesn't come from that. It comes from what you make of it, and how you feel about it, and what you think this experience is to you in a positive manner. If it's a negative experience, well, then you need to try something else. Don't give up on it because you're like, no, groups are not for me. I don't want to go to groups because the last group I was in was blah, blah, blah. It was like, everybody was measuring up to see who did the most, who did the best. Well, I can tell you from experiences in my group, it's never really been like that. I will say maybe sometimes it feels like that, but for the most part, it's definitely, how are we doing this week? What are we doing to navigate the system? What are we doing to navigate our system to make it the best direction in a positive way that we can be? And sometimes it doesn't. It falls down. We fall down. We fall on our face. We have a really bad week. We have a really bad month. We want to talk about it, or we just want to drop something off. We don't want to talk about it, but to listen to everybody else, maybe you're going to feel better about your situation as you listen to someone else's situation being far worse, or in your mind is far worse. Because sometimes it's not. It's just we all need a space and a place, a direction, something to grab a hold of that's tangible, that's going to be put in our lives in a way. But hey, I'm going to take a quick break to do the PSA. The VA sponsors this program in a lot of ways. So this brought to you by SitchRadio.com, and thanks Brian Colburn for putting that together. But I'll be back right after the PSA.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. If you're having a tough time or thinking about suicide, you're not alone, and there's hope. VA's Veterans Crisis Line is full of responders who listen and help. Many are veterans or have veteran family members and friends, so they're prepared to address your challenges. After calling, you'll be connected to the next available crisis line responder. That person may ask, "Are you thinking of suicide?" Or "What plan can we put in place to keep you safe today?" If you choose, the responder will share your name and personal information with your local VA suicide prevention coordinator, who'll connect you to local VA assistance and resources. Don't wait. Dial 988, then press 1.
Yeah, and hey, I'm back. Hey, this is SitchRadio.com bringing this podcast to you. This is Combat Vet Vision, and I'm Aaron Siebert, retired Navy Chief, lucky to be alive after being hit with a mortar round. But a couple other things I just wanted to throw out there was that these hobbies that I talk about are super important. Making sure you're the best version is super important. But something I was thinking about was, somebody had mentioned to me, when I was talking about hobbies, and they said, hey, what your hobby is helping combat vets out, doing these groups, reaching out. And I really think of it as a hobby, but you know what, whatever it is, maybe your job becomes your hobby. Maybe your passion in life becomes your hobby in some way. And I think it's a hobby because I want to be a genuine person. I think being genuine and heartfelt, and just kind of being able to be there when nobody else has the ability to, or take the time or the effort, or multiple different times and efforts to help somebody out, or just have a genuine conversation. And sometimes those things, I want to believe and say this, I will not ghost you. If you need to get a hold of me, you definitely can. I may not always reach out to you directly, but I'm always available, and you send me a text or an email or something, or a call, and I really respond to text the best because the phone's always with me, and I just look at it and I see a text, I reach back out, and it may be 4 or 5 hours, but hardly that. Usually it's a lot sooner than that, but I just try to remain available, but at the same time, constantly reaching out and talking to some guys that I talk to on a consistent basis, and then reaching out to some that I don't. But whatever you're doing in life, evaluate it and ensure that you're not just giving it the everything's good, everything's okay, just because you're not engaged in the next best thing for yourself, but you're believing that this is, and it might be, but make it real, make it count, make it genuine, and be involved. But hey, that's all I got this week. I just want to wish everybody, the best version of themselves that they can be, and to be involved in their lives, and then whatever that looks like, it's not up to me to make that decision. It's not up to anybody who's telling you, hey, this is the best route. I got a cure for PTSD. Mind wipe is the cure for PTSD, if you truly think about it, but that's not a route for me. um, and because my memories are my memories, I don't want to lose those, and they're tied in with a lot of jacked up situations and great situations. There's great things in life that I still want to be involved in, and finding the enjoyment, trying not to be so rushed or frustrated with minor little things and be all tied up. And we got to communicate, because when my injuries speak to me and I don't talk about them, or I don't make better decisions to kind of deal with them, they become overwhelming, and then I snap on people, and that's not the way for me to be. So I know those things kind of kick off. But hey, that's all I got. This is Aaron Siebert, retired Navy Chief. Thanks for everything you do. Strength and honor. Out.